We're fresh off the Eagles' preseason opener against the New York Jets. It's back to business at the NovaCare complex this morning. The Birds hit the practice field 2 final times in South Philadelphia before they're off to Cleveland this week. Welcome to Inside Training Camp, presented by Independence Blue Cross. I'm your host, Gabriella DiGiovanni. We'll soon be joined by your Eagles insider, Dave Spadero, and Fran Duffy, live from the practice field. But before we get to all that, Friday night was a big one for Eagles fans as they flooded into Lincoln Financial Field for that preseason opener. Here's what the players had to say post-game on social media. Rookie Nakobe Dean, a lot don't make it this far, but this is only the beginning for me. Lane Johnson, football mode, engaged. How about Jake Elliott? Can't beat that first night back in the Link. And Kaiser White, his first appearance as an Eagle, and he was doing it for Grandma. Now we welcome in Eagles insider Dave Spadero, who joins us outside. Friday night was an exciting one. Get the juices flowing, Dave. What are some of your takeaways?
Yeah, I mean, it was not perfect because, of course, the Eagles didn't win, but apparently escaping without major injury. And then they look at Jalen Hurts, 6 of 6 on that first drive, doing it in a lot of different ways. And it was interesting hearing Nick Sirianni this morning talking about Jalen escaping the pocket. Every time he leaves the pocket, it's not just because he's leaving the pocket feeling pressure. Sometimes he's just buying time to get receivers open. So I thought that was really good. The way he moved the football around, got Quez Watkins involved, got Miles Sanders involved a couple of times, the tight ends involved, and then, of course, Dallas Goedert. The way they overcame a penalty, that was really impressive, that nullified the touchdown run from Hurts. So a great first drive, great first game for Jalen Hurts and that starting offense. I thought the depth at wide receiver, which we've talked about throughout training camp. We know about A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. They're going to be assassins on the field this year. But seeing Watkins get involved early, seeing Jalen Reagor catch a few balls, seeing Zach Pascal with 2 catches and working his way open a couple of other times, really impressive stuff. And then, of course, Kaiser White, the Eagles at the linebacker position, adding in the offseason here, and he makes the big play, the pick of Zach Wilson. We are looking for playmakers here, right? The linebackers didn't make enough plays last year. So what they do, they went out and they added Hassan Reddick, they added Kaiser White in free agency, they drafted Nakobe Dean, and White's the one who stepped up early to make the plays. So those are my major takeaways as we begin our final few days here at the NovaCare complex.
2 weeks to go in training camp, and the journey to that 53-man roster is certainly underway, Dave. What does the next phase of training camp look like for the Eagles?
Yeah, so today and Tuesday, the final days here at the NovaCare complex in training camp. And then it takes an interesting turn going to Cleveland for 2 days of joint practices against the Browns. And this coaching staff looks at those practices in controlled environment as game situations. And so the players who are starters, who are first, they're going to get a lot of reps. We may not see them in the preseason game on Sunday in Cleveland, but they will get a lot of reps in an intense physical environment against the Cleveland Browns. The Eagles saw a lot of value last year with the joint practices. They are expecting the same in Cleveland and also against Miami. So training camp, it breaks. We go on the road. There's camaraderie being built. We're away from Philadelphia. Should be a very interesting time for the team, a good time for the team, and really good work on the practice field.
Dave, I'm going to send you on your way. We'll welcome you back shortly, but I'm going to now welcome in Fran Duffy, who joins us on the other side of the practice field. Fran, let's talk about the rookies on Friday night. Who really stood out to you? All right, we're having some technical difficulties getting Fran's audio here. Dave, I'm going to bring you back in real quick, and let's start the rookie discussion with you. Cam Jurgens turned a lot of eyes on Friday night. Nick Sirianni was just asked about his performance, and he said he played a pretty good game.
Yeah, well, look, you've got to temper things just a little bit here, Ella. Everybody's rushing to the, oh my gosh, he is the next Jason Kelce comparison. No denying that he was impressive from a mental standpoint, from a physical standpoint, getting out in the screen game, recognizing what the Jets were doing up front, playing with power, finishing his blocks, working well in tandem with his line mates. So the Eagles, again, we'll go back to what we talked about last week. They were thrilled to get Cam Jurgens in the draft in round number 2. And they saw on Friday night his first little play action, extended play. He has a chance to be really, really good. But let's just tap the brakes a bit now. He's got a long way to go.
Sirianni wasn't quick to commit that he is Jason Kelce. He said there are certainly similarities, but he has a lot to learn, and he's in the perfect opportunity to learn behind Jason Kelce and work with this very, very strong unit, this offensive line room here in Philadelphia.
Yeah, absolutely, Ellen. Look, Jason Kelce wasn't going to see a lot of reps in this preseason anyway. This is a great time for the Eagles to get Juergens ready so that whenever that day is that he's called upon to play, whatever position that might be, whether it's a guard or center, he will be ready to go. He'll get a bunch of reps here, a lot of reps this week against a good Cleveland front that does a lot of things. So it'll be a fun time to see his development from a mental standpoint going against Cleveland. They're outstanding on the edges, but they also present a lot of things up front that will make him think, react, and really communicate to the rest of the line.
Sticking with the rookie class here, Dave, Nakobe Dean on Friday night. He was out there directing traffic. What did you see from the young linebacker?
You know, it's really about him, Ella. So if you keep him clean, like they did at Georgia, meaning if your defensive tackles do their job and occupy blockers, Nakobe Dean gets to the football. And to get to the football 5 times with 4 unassisted tackles in his preseason debut, the moment not too big for him. That's kind of the way I would term everybody in this rookie class. That big step from the practice fields here to the first preseason game, the lights were not too bright. Nakobe Dean showed up, had not been getting a lot of notice here at camp. I mean, again, I think he's just one of those guys. He's a gamer, and he's a playmaker, and he showed that on Friday night.
There were certainly moments on Friday night where you saw the rapport between him and Jordan Davis, obviously teammates down in Georgia. To see their connection develop at the NFL level, how cool was that to see?
Yeah, I mean, they do. They've certainly leaned on each other, and they've been able to help each other along in this journey. And so, like, I'm enjoying the whole thing. That I think there's a human element to this that I really like watching as well. So, they're both really good football players who played at the highest level. As we take a look here, I'm at the practice field watching the offensive line. Not a rookie, but former Eagles Pro Bowl offensive guard Brandon Brooks, 3-time Pro Bowler. Now, watching practice, hugging his former teammates, looking great. And I wonder how he's feeling. Maybe we'll get a word with him in just a bit here, how he's feeling coming back as a former Philadelphia Eagle.
Crazy to see him not in pads, in a polo. Business school Brandon Brooks is here in the building. Well, we were talking about Jordan Davis and Nakobe Dean. They certainly have a special bond as they began down in Athens together. But just how close are they? Let's listen in.
Yeah, so I don't want to put our business out there, but we like coordinated the time so we can walk in together, and it gave you like the first day of school vibe. So, you know, we try to do everything together. That's my guy. Obviously, y'all all know that. I love that man to death. So, just to be able to share this moment and experience it with him is just pretty amazing. Yeah, man, it's just like old days. You know, you're accustomed to seeing Kobe fly around, make plays. So, definitely, you know, he's going to excel at this level. He's going to learn. He's going to give, you know, his feet. He's going to get his feet up under him. So, just to see him do that and, you know, have us possibly become a 1-2 tandem, it would be a pretty amazing feat that we could carry from college.
Fran Duffy rejoins us here. Fran, I'm glad we got you up and back and running here. We were talking about joint practices, Dave and I, a little earlier on. What's your scouting report on the Cleveland Browns so far? What position groups do you think will be challenged this week in joint practices?
Yeah, and that's always one of the big themes going into these joint practices, Ella, is what position groups are going to be challenged most by the other team's roster. And when you look at the Cleveland Browns, they are built from the line of scrimmage out. And so this should be a really fun battle this week, watching the offensive and defensive lines go head-to-head. We know they have Myles Garrett, one of the best pass rushers in all of football. So that will be a fun matchup between he and Jordan Mailata at left tackle. That will be fun to watch. They've got Jadeveon Clowney out there in Cleveland as well. So that defensive line against the Eagles' offensive front will be fun, but even when you go to the other side of the line of scrimmage, this is a really, really good, a battle-tested Cleveland Browns offensive line going up against this Eagles defensive line is going to be fun to watch. And then don't discount, we talked about the receivers, and Dave talked about the depth at wide receiver on this team. I think when you pair that with the Cleveland Browns secondary, a lot of really young, intriguing talent at corner, at safety, in the slot, some high draft picks. So that will be a fun battle to watch this week as well out in Cleveland.
Well, the short period we saw of Jalen Hurts on Friday night, he completed passes to 4 different receivers, but he kicked things off with a 28-yard pass to Quez Watkins. Dave, bringing you in here, what have you seen from Quez Watkins through camp?
You know, Ella, he's the one that nobody's talking about, he and Zach Pascal. And so, again, really good that they showed up on Friday night. Quez is a game breaker, 15 yards a catch last year. He's built a lot of muscle the last 2 seasons. He's a sturdy 6 foot, 193. And, you know, with apologies again to Devin Allen, who's really fast on the track, I think Quez Watkins is the fastest Eagle on the football field. And so I really, really think that he's in for a big season. Can play inside, can play outside. Has really, and I talked to Mike Quick last week, and he said that Quez, and this kind of surprised me when he said it, Quez Watkins is as talented as any wide receiver on this roster. And that includes A.J. Brown, and that includes Devontae Smith. So a bit of a shocker, but if Quick Six likes him, then I think we all kind of have to open our eyes and go, this guy's more than just an accessory piece. He can be a major part of this offense. Even if the numbers aren't huge, he has a chance to make some great plays, have some favorable matchups, and be a weapon for Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, Dave, the big thing with receivers always used to be that 3rd-year jump, guys making it into their 3rd season. So I think when you look at Quez Watkins and what he can do in this offense, we saw him take that next step last year where he became a focal point and one of the best big play threats in the NFL. I think now when you look at him, you see a much more confident route runner working the middle of the field. He's shown impressive route running over the course of one-on-ones and team drills. Very, very active. And so I'm excited to see the jump that Quez Watkins can make here in year 3.
Wide receiver A.J. Brown was very excited about what he saw from the offense on Friday. He has high hopes for what this group is capable of.
It shows a lot of versatility for this offense. What we could do, it could be special, but we have to do our job. You know, we have to do our job each and every day and continue to get better. You know, we did a great job moving the ball. He did a great job. So I'm excited, man. I'm excited for the season. I'm excited for the offense. Excited for this team.
Dave, moving on to the running backs, we're looking at Miles Sanders right now. He is not dressed for practice today. Boston Scott has been out with a concussion. Kenny Gainwell, little hip injury. What have you seen from the younger guys who have stepped up in their absence?
Yeah, I mean, and by the way, none of these injuries are considered anything that will threaten them in the regular season. That includes Miles, who's got a little bit of a lower body injury. We'll get the official word in just a bit here. And so when they're down, that gives players like Kennedy Brooks and Jason Huntley an opportunity. And we did not see Huntley finish well in short yardage on Friday night. Certainly wasn't all on him. But, you know, and that's not really the kind of back he is. He is a speed back. We saw Brooks finish well. We saw Brooks in the passing game do the catch and get into the end zone. So there are some things that, you know, the Eagles are really doing well, giving those young players an opportunity to get the reps. And, you know, when you've only got 6 of them here in camp and one of them just joined the team last week, you got to rely on who's healthy. And so while we would love to see Boston out here and we'd love to see Miles out here and Kenny Gainwell, etc., it is an opportunity for Kennedy Brooks and it is an opportunity for Jason Huntley. And on Friday night, they acquitted themselves well.
Well, the good news for that backfield, I'm down here with the punt returners here, Dave, and Kenny Gainwell is out on the field in full pads. We'll see if he's a full participant or if he's just going to do some individual work as they try and work him back in. But Gainwell down here working with the punt returners early on. It looks like they're going to be moving to individual drills, some ball security work over here in the next period, but something to watch there, certainly.
Transitioning to the other side of the football, let's go with the defensive line. On Friday night, one key player made his return. That is defensive end Brandon Graham. He's been sidelined since week 2 of the 2021 season with that grueling Achilles injury. Let's see his thoughts on stepping back onto the field on Friday.
Oh, man, it felt good being with the guys. Just even being in the locker room before the game, it was just like, man, just that feeling when you know you're going to play a game, because I used to be in that locker room just, getting the boys encouraged because I knew I wasn't going to play until the following season. So to be here now, just enjoying the moment.
Dave, I love BG's quote right here after the game because you think a 13-year vet This is everyday life for him, but judging by what he's been through the past year, working his way back from this injury, you could tell it really just meant more to him. He has a greater appreciation for the game of football. What does his return reignite for both this defense and this team as a whole?
I think that ultimately, when you're looking at BG, it was just great to see him out there with that first team. He got that TFL on his very first snap. He was juiced, and he brought the energy. And honestly, no different than his first rep at practice here when training camp began. So we know what number 55 brings in terms of juice to this Eagles defense, to this entire Eagles team. And that's exactly what he brought on Friday night.
Fran, Jordan Davis, let's go from the vet to the rookie here. What did you think of his first appearance on Friday?
Well, I think the big thing that you saw with him is that he consistently changes the line of scrimmage. And that's something that stood out when he was at Georgia, and it's something that stood out here in his first NFL action on Friday against the New York Jets. Whether it was run game or pass game, you saw him kick instant knockback on opposing offensive linemen. And the big thing, too, is that he was going up against the starters for the New York Jets. The Jets' starting offensive line had a lot of reps here on Friday night. And so Jordan Davis saw a lot of reps against those guys and looked really, really strong. So to me, when you're looking at disruption at the interior defensive line spot, that's what Jordan Davis brings to this Eagles defense.
And this preseason game was his first experience going up against NFL opposition that wasn't his own teammates. He's not used to the players he saw across the line on Friday. Now challenge number 2 begins this week in Cleveland. How do you think he'll match up against the Browns' offensive line this week?
Well, the big thing when you look at the Cleveland Browns is, I mentioned it earlier, that the offensive line is one of their strengths. Now, one thing that will be important to note, they're going to be working in a new center. So they had J.C. Tretter. He was a long-time starter for them on the interior at center. He was a free agent, and they were working in the young guy, Nick Harris, at center, who was a day 3 pick for them a couple of years ago. They were really high on him. Very similar skill set to Cam Jurgens. Well, he got carted off the field in their preseason game on Friday night. So it looks like they're going to be working in a new center this week, and that center is going to have a big test ahead of him with number 90 in the middle. So that will be something to watch here as we make the move to Berea later this week in practice.
Fran, another defensive player who made his first appearance as a Philadelphia Eagle on Friday night, linebacker Hassan Reddick. What did you think about his game on Friday?
Well, I think with Hassan Reddick, you just see that quickness off the ball. And so we didn't necessarily see it too often because he only played a handful of snaps on defense, but you see that quickness, you see that twitch, that first step, and that's how he's going to impact this game. We saw a decent amount of blitzing and stunts from this Eagles defense on Friday night against the Jets, and so incorporating that, projecting that into Hassan Reddick's role, that's going to be really fun, and I can't wait to watch this defensive front seven. We talked about the versatility, all the different body types, all the different packages. That's going to be fun to watch. And Hassan Reddick, he's going to be a big part of that on this defense.
Reddick spoke with the media post-game. He reflected on his first game as a Philadelphia Eagle.
Yeah, man, it felt great. I wasn't out there for long, but just to finally and officially have that uniform on at home, get some reps, it felt great, man.
Reddick was certainly pumped to take the field for his hometown team on Friday. Well, another linebacker who made an immediate impact on the defense, Kaiser White. How much confidence did that early interception give both Kaiser White and the defense, Fran?
Well, the thing with Kaiser White is, he's a guy that's used to playing in space. He was essentially a nickel defender in that defense at West Virginia. He spent a lot of his time kind of playing in the slot a little bit. So he was listed as a safety, made the move to linebacker in the NFL. He's really long, and you saw that early on. He made a really nice tackle on the very first play of the game where he stayed square to the line of scrimmage and was able to finish in the run game. And then he comes back later in the drive with the interception. So I think when you look at Kaiser White, certainly it feels good when you're making that transition to a new team, a new depth chart, a new roster, a new scheme, and you come out and you make one of the best big plays in the game early. That's got to feel good. So for the guy that's also coming home, he talked about Hassan Reddick making his return back to the Philadelphia area. Kaiser White from Southeast Pennsylvania, big for him to be able to make his return in a big way last Friday night.
Dave, we talked takeaways. That's what we wanted to see more from the Eagles defense last year. Coming out strong, that first defensive series on Friday night in a preseason game to get that interception under his belt. What does this mean going forward?
Look, Kaiser was a playmaker in California with the Chargers. He comes here, all of a sudden everybody forgets about him. Davion Taylor's here. But from a fan standpoint, the big move was, hey, let's go get Nakobe Dean. And Nakobe's going to have a very fine future and a fine present. But I don't see Kaiser stepping aside. The Eagles felt at the time what a, excellent signing that was. Somebody who slipped through the cracks in free agency. So for him to come in first game, and we spoke after the game, in the system, make the big play, tons of confidence, had his whole family in attendance, mother, father, brothers, sisters, cousins, huge audience watching him. So there's a large contingent of Eagles here, it seems, who are coming back to Philly. Reddick and Sean Bradley and all these guys. Kaiser White's one of them, and it was a big moment for him, confidence builder in both him feeling good in the system and the coaches seeing what kind of an impact he can make.
In the locker room post-game, many players mentioned that Kaiser White called it, said pregame he was going to get an interception. Here's Hassan Reddick on Kaiser White's prediction.
He called it. He called it. Yeah, he called it. He said he was before the game. He had man of his words. He did everything. He said he was happy to see him do that. And I'm just happy overall for the defense to come out here and get a pick on our first drive. It just set the tone.
Guys, let's talk about the DBs a little bit. In the kickoff show on Friday night, we talked about how the DBs are in such a great position this year because they're going up against such incredible wide receiver talent every day in practice. Dave, how do you think the DBs matched up against new talent in the Jets on Friday night?
Yeah, no problems. I mean, I know that down deep in the game, the Jets moved the football, and giving up that last drive was a really tough one for the Eagles. But I mean, all in all, I think the Eagles feel pretty good about their cornerback depth, and they've got some young safeties they need to develop. And it's disappointing that Jaquaske Tart has not been on the field, and we'll see what happens with him. But I do think that they feel good about their secondary, and it certainly helps when your front seven is penetrating the way the Eagles are and the talent that they have. So it works hand in hand, but a good start for the Philadelphia Eagles in a secondary that's gotten some new blood and some younger blood is developing, and that's what you want to see.
Yeah, and that was the thing, was that the Jets came out, and certainly they wanted to work on their run game coming out in that game on Friday night. And so most of what we saw from the first-team defense had to do with the point of attack in the run game. And I thought we saw some really good things up front.
Between James Bradbury, Darius Slay, Avonte Maddox, they're going to face new opposition this week in the Cleveland Browns. How helpful is it for this position in particular to go against the Cleveland Browns, to get their juices flowing in a different environment? We know these joint practices can get very, very competitive, Dave.
Against the likes of AJ and Devontae every day. That's very helpful. But it's always great to see new faces, and you kind of memorize the routes here, you memorize the personnel here. I think it's always excellent to see new faces, new schemes, new routes, body types, different receivers who use their tool set to get open, to create separation. So, I really have come around to embracing these joint practices. I think the Eagles, like every other NFL team, these are, controlled preseason games, so you minimize the risk of injury. You'll see a lot of competition, and it'll be great for the Eagles DBs.
And that's the thing, is these are very high-intensity sessions. And, the guys, you start to feel it. I know we felt the energy, Dave, when we were up in New York last year for the game against the Jets. The joint practices. The Patriots were here at the Nova last summer, and it was really, really good practices between those two teams. So these joint practices really kind of rev up the intensity level, and I think we'll see that this week out in Cleveland as well.
Before the Eagles get to Cleveland, guys, we've spent so much time talking about all these other positions. We haven't even talked about QB1, his opening drive with the first-team offense on Friday night. He went 6 for 6, 80 yards, capped it off with a touchdown to Dallas Goedert. Dave, what did you see from Jalen Hurts on Friday in that series?
Yeah, I saw a variety. Nick Sirianni said to me at halftime on the field, coming off the field, he really liked the way that Jalen commanded the offense. And he got out of the pocket when he had to. He bought some time with his legs when he had to. He kept his eyes down the field. I thought he got rid of the football quickly. He ran for the touchdown that got nullified, but still saw the opening, showed the Jets, got into the end zone, and then bounced back from that and went right back to Goddard and touchdown connection. So a little bit of everything. Got the running back. I really, really like getting Miles Sanders involved in the pass game. His numbers haven't matched his rookie season as a receiver. He has the skill set to do that, though. So, look, I mean, other than, getting a little nervous on that late hit, Jalen Hurts was outstanding, sensational, and that's exactly the way the Eagles, dream up opening the preseason.
Yeah, I thought the touchdown pass to Dallas Goedert was obviously very, very impressive. He hit Goddard in time with the concept in the middle of the field. Just a really, really impressive throw and catch. But then, to me, Dave, you mentioned getting the ball to Miles Sanders. That was a quick check down. That was not something where it was designed to go to Miles Sanders in that play. And so I was impressed with Jalen, his ability to get late into the progression, make that throw quickly enough to allow Miles to create yards after catch and move the sticks. So to me, just watching the command, as you mentioned, as Nick Sirianni mentioned, that even goes back to practice. I remember saying that on the Eagle Eye in the Sky podcast last Wednesday, was just how comfortable and loose Jalen seemed going into that practice, going into this game. Really, really impressive to see from I'm excited to see what he can do over the next couple of weeks.
Jets linebacker Quincy Williams delivered a late hit on Jalen Hurts on Friday. Eagles teammates were quick to jump to their quarterback's defense. Here's what Hurts had to say post-game in response to his teammates' support.
Yeah, I think that's what we're about. In the end, I think that's us having each other's backs, and that's Philly. That's Coach Sirianni, that's Jordan Mailata, that's Kelsey, that's some of the defensive guys, JG, it's everybody.
Command of the offense. We've heard it last week. We saw it on Friday night. Jalen Hurts' development as QB1, taking on this leadership role, we've seen really, really kind of take a big jump through training camp this year. Dave, what are other teammates talking about? How are they describing Jalen Hurts under center here in Philly?
Yeah, I think that, Ella, I didn't really totally catch your question. I was completely not paying attention. Fire that one again at me, please. To be honest, I'm really transfixed by the defensive line here. I'm trying to listen in.
You're being our Eagles insider. This is how we get the inside scoop.
I know. That's right.
I was asking about Jalen Hurts taking command of this offense. How his teammates are really taking to him as a leader. He's taken a jump in training camp this year. He's laser focused, it seems, if you watch him through practice.
Yeah, and I will tell you, they really took to him last year, and he's always shown such remarkable poise, and he's a natural leader, and he's just somebody you rally around. You want to play hard for Jalen Hurts. And by the way, super cooperative in every way within the organization. Interviews and appearances and saying hello to some of the people that practice here and doing those kinds of things that are part of the requirements for a quarterback. And over the years, honestly, some quarterbacks not quite into it, but Jalen has always done everything the organization's asked. He's just a natural leader who is playing really good football right now, and his confidence level is very, very high. And his teammates.
Yeah, to me, Dave, the big thing, what you commented on is just Jalen away from the field. That's something you kind of got that sense when he was coming out in the draft, coming out of Oklahoma. When you talk with people at Alabama, it can always get a little bit hairy when players transfer from one school to the other. How do people at the original school feel about that player? Everyone, to a man, just raved about Jalen Hurts when he was coming out of school, whether it was at Oklahoma or at Alabama. And so that kind of spoke, I thought, to his character and what he brings off the field. Teammates, coaches, support staff, everybody loves Jalen Hurts.
Well, Dave, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask what's going on, what you're looking at that distracted you so much.
So some technical difficulties certainly on the other side. But look, this is going to be one of the last practices here at the NovaCare Complex. The Eagles are in full pads today. So, Ella, I'm excited to see what they put on. With team drills will be starting any moment now.
Fran, you and Dave will be heading to Cleveland this week. Tell us about what you got on deck for Eagles fans.
For sure. Well, make sure you check out the Eagle Eye in the Sky podcast. Myself and Chris McPherson, every single day there is practice. That includes those joint practices out in Cleveland and down in Miami the week after. So make sure you are subscribed to the Eagle Eye in the Sky podcast wherever podcasts can be found.
Well, that was your Eagles insider Dave Spadero and Fran Duffy bringing us all the insight live from the practice field. And that'll do it for us here on Inside Training Camp, presented by Independence Blue Cross. Stick with us all week. We'll have you covered in Cleveland. And then the preseason game will be Sunday, August 21st, a 1 o'clock kick. And you can join the three of us back here at 12:15 for the kickoff show. For myself, Fran Duffy, and Dave Spadero, go Birds.